Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. This week's show, many of you were expecting author Alexis Owens, but she was not able to make it, unfortunately. But we have a couple of hot topics for you. A 13-year-old boy was killed in Washington, D.C., and the residents there are pissed. And the liar, Representative George Santos, gets support from the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, even after admitting making up his whole life story. And if we have time, we will have time, we will talk about stealing time at work. But
Don't steal time from my story. Let me tell it.
before we get into the podcast, let me introduce you to my co-hosts. First up, unfortunately, the lovely Lizzie is not doing well. She had an issue yesterday and could not be on this week's podcast, but we hope she's going to be okay, and we're definitely going to miss her today. We do have our nature lover, gamer, rock star coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Mr. Robbie Rock.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday. It has been a great week. I had the pleasure of driving my granddaughter to school this week, and it's been a real treat because kids have no filters, and I love it.
They don't.
So we got to talking about sand, right? I know, no filters. You want truth? Talk to a 5-year-old. That's amazing. So we got to talking about sand, and I explained to her how I enjoy sand, but not when it gets under my fingernails, my hair, my eyes, and ears. And she looks at me and she's just like, "You don't have any hair." So I was just like, "No, dude, like, I have a little bit of hair. I just keep it really, really short." And she goes,
kids are
and then
so
she looks at me, she goes, "Okay." She goes, "Well, I don't cut my hair, but if I did, well, maybe only 5 inches, so I don't poop on it."
What?
Because she's got super long hair. So then it took me, and it's just like,
So she
I
doesn't
can't
poop on
fault
her.
that logic. I cannot fault that logic.
Yeah, the things that kids say, I tell you.
Good point, right?
So
All right.
to have-
Next up, our college student, model, business owner, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Gianni Storm.
Hey guys. Hello. I feel like this week has actually been 2023. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but it did not feel like 2023 when we entered. I know it's not like some magical shift that's supposed to happen, but this week felt, and comment if you feel the same way, this week felt really just smooth, and it felt like we were like progressing towards something. So I felt good this week. I got a lot done. I felt productive, a lot of organizing so that I could be good for the year.
Oh, look at you.
And then I had,
Hmm.
yes.
Uh-uh.
And then I had found out that my best friend is actually going to be moving to Atlanta in March.
Oh, nice.
So that'll,
Your best friend, you get to
Yeah.
hang out.
Trouble
Yes, I
in
get to have social life.
Atlanta. Trouble in Atlanta.
Right,
Is she coming
exactly.
because of you or just because of a good job or something? What?
No, she has a potential job interview here. So she's going to come in February, I believe, for the job interview. But the way her mind is set up, she already got the job. And it's a really, really good job. So she plans on coming here. If not, she's still going to be working from home in Atlanta. Either way, I'm excited. Excited to hear.
Oh, that's great news.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes.
All right. And of course, I am your host, Neo Nix. So this was a packed week for me, actually. I'm changing jobs, but I'm also doing like a soft beta launch of the Pods Network next week. So I'm really excited about it. So it's a promotional network for podcasts. Basically, a group of member podcasts will get access to all of the features of the website, like our guest database, podcast profile pages, direct messaging. There's a bunch of other things. But the primary purpose is to help amazing podcasts like ours who are struggling to build their audience. With all the competition out there, a lot of podcasters have like this fantastic product, but they're just struggling to get listeners and views because maybe, advertising, promotion is just not their strength. So the plan is Pods Network will have a team of people working on advertising and promoting all of those member podcasts, really focus on getting people watching and listening. So really excited about the network. I'll be talking about it probably like every episode. I don't know. I'm really excited about it. So you'll be hearing a lot more from me over the coming weeks.
It's going to be amusing. So you're making the shift. You're going to be talking about the pods as opposed to talking about the gym.
Yeah, right. So I'm always talking about pod cycling and fitness. So now it's going to be Pods Network.
It's harder to say.
Also, and we're looking for some beta testers too. So if anyone out there has a podcast looking to build your audience, just reach out to us at info@pods network.com. And the good thing is, if you're selected to participate right in the beta testing, you get 6 months of basically free advertising for your podcast, and you'll be helping to tailor the future website and the network. So and it'll be just perfect for like podcasters just like yourself. So I hope we get some really amazing podcasts. Again, I'll keep you up to date on what's going on, and I'll also let you guys know when you guys can start getting signed up as well. Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
So should do a soft launch next week. So it should be a lot of fun. It looks like my assistant, my project manager for the podcast for Pods Network is on here, Ikra Irfan. So she says Pods Network will be awesome. She's online, so that's awesome.
Yes.
All right, let's get into some hot topics, guys.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Gianni. So you got a young kid in DC who was killed. So talk to us about it.
Yes. So this has been a hot topic in DC on all sides. So for the past week, a 13-year-old and his two friends were out at about 4 a.m, apparently stealing cars. The 13-year-old, his name's Karon. Allegedly. We got to make sure we say allegedly. That's true.
Allegedly stealing cars.
But unfortunately, the 13-year-old Karon Blake was shot by a vigilante. There were recent car thefts in that area, and the homeowner saw Karon near the cars, like I said, at 4 a.m, and thought the kid was stealing cars. He ended up shooting him, and very little details are being provided by police, including the name of the shooter. So this has sparked a lot of outrage, like we said, on both ends. So I just wanted to bring this to the panel and see what everyone's thoughts are.
Let's start with Rob. What are you thinking, Rob?
Man, it's I don't want to beat on a dead horse, but too many guns, too many people. It's awful, absolutely awful. My heart goes out to the Blake family. To lose a child so quickly, violently, and tragically has to be heart-wrenching. For the community, his friends, everyone that knew this kid. That's just going to be awful. And I like how you prefaced it, Johnny, just saying shot by vigilante, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what this is. It's vigilante justice. It's someone who heard something and decided to grab a gun and go walk up the street to check out what was going on, get into an altercation, and then as a result, so I understand, of course, why this person's name isn't being released at this time, because I'm sure that it's under heavy investigation.
Oh, you understand it.
And
Interesting.
It's to protect this person's identity until there's a proper investigation done. I don't know. Like, it's messed up. It's so weird. It really, really is. Yeah.
It's well. Let me first ask. So, Gianni, you had your car broken into a couple of times.
That's not funny.
but
Horrible.
But on top of that, you own a gun too, right?
I do too. Yes.
So let me just ask you: do you understand where this guy's coming from? Where, he potentially, might have seen a 13-year-old hanging out by his car and then just thought he was stealing his car or stealing a car or messing with cars or whatever he thought. Would you have I don't know, possibly shot him?
I definitely, that's very interesting because immediately I'm like, no. But to play devil's advocate, there has been a point where it's like, because it happened to me a few times, like my car was, robbed. So at one point I was like, what if I just shoot? Like, I would be in the right if I just like shot them in the leg or in the butt or just in the air. And I have to be honest with that because at the end of the day, I don't know if these young men are going to come into my home. You know what I mean? I'm a single woman. I live by myself. I have a dog, but it's like a safety thing. I think that when you're in that
but you're anticipating
mode,
something that, you're not an immediate threat, right? Of somebody coming to your home. I mean, the 13-year-old wasn't gonna rob him, and he's a 13-year-old kid, right? He's not gonna rob him and take all his money.
he's not going to rob him, but what I don't want to do is kind of like let go of the fact that he was allegedly possibly robbing cars or doing whatever criminal act. And that doesn't mean that because somebody's doing that matters into your own hands, but it's almost like consequences to actions type thing. But
we are fortunate because Lizzie is online, so she's joined us in the chat, and she is saying, let the record show that the teens arrived in a stolen vehicle. So, it does lend credence to the story that they were up to some shenanigans, as some are wont to do. And an interesting question from Jacqueline Robinson is, the one question no one is asking is, where were the parents or guardians? Why is a child out on the street at 4 a.m.? Let's have that discussion.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think also
go
ahead, Nia.
No, you go.
I wanted to say this reminded me so much of the Trayvon Martin situation. Like, whenever I saw this, I was like, this is like going back to 2012 or what year that was. I felt the emotions of the people that were gathered at the town hall to get answers. I was feeling it with them. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't help but think, like, while you guys are, coming together for the sole purpose and that was to get justice. My thinking is, why can't we do that without the court or the town hall? Like, communities should start to implement some actual system of protecting our own neighborhoods correctly. And I know people have like weird feelings about that because they're like, where does that line draw? Like, who would be taking over and what kind of power would we give them? But I think that's more protective, and it's more tight knit, to be able to protect your community that you know so well. Like, your neighbors, you would protect them like they were your son. So I feel like we need to get back into implementing some type of like community-based protection, not the neighborhood watch. Please stop that. Please stop with the neighborhood watch.
I was gonna. This is what we're talking about. Like, like you said, a vigilante. Who decided to take on the actions of what the police should be doing. You should be calling the police. You should be saying, hey, there's someone outside messing with some cars. I see them. Yeah, you watch, neighborhood watch, but you're not there to shoot and kill a 13-year-old. But I just want to point out some comments online because there's a lot of this going. So
yeah,
Lizzie says people need to understand the climate of violence in teens at the moment in D.C. Violent carjackings and thefts are the norm in D.C. right now. I know that there is that TikTok thing going on, especially for these young kids looking for where they teach you how to steal Kias and Hyundais.
Me.
Yeah,
I have a Kia.
Yeah, they teach you how
Don't
to. That's probably
announce
why you
that.
probably getting attacked. And so it's been like a thing. No, seriously, it's been a thing for like the past few months of people going after certain years of Kias and they're going actively after them because of TikTok. But yeah, so I don't think it's just a thing in DC. It just had, but there has been a lot of carjackings and things going on as well. Kevin Thaxton says it's extremely unfortunate for the family. There are numerous carjackings and thefts in the DMV. I have mixed feelings about this, and that's how I feel. I have mixed feelings too. I think the reason I have mixed feelings though is because I think it's kind of strange for it to be a week out and police officials have not told people exactly what happened, who the person was who did the shooting. It feels like they're protecting somebody for some reason. I don't know exactly why or who it is, but I feel like it is frustrating when you don't get the information you're looking for. Usually when we have these press conferences, they pretty much tell, here are the details that we have so far, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we have an active investigation, but they have a suspect. It's not like they're looking for somebody. So why can't we get information on what they believe may have happened, what is alleged, et cetera? And they also said that the person who did the shooting was a DC employee who works for Muriel Bowser, but they're not apparently they're not in law enforcement. Yeah.
Those are true. Those are true details that came out about the.
Yeah, those are
person.
Those are the only facts that we know so far. Is that he was definitely a DC employee, and he's also a not in public protection. Let's see.
I just feel.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add. I just feel like it's so hard. This is why I'm so excited for this new generation coming up, because not all of them, as we can see, but because I feel like they implement something where it's like solution based. I know that whenever we do things like come together, like I said, and then the protesting and then communicating and awareness and stuff, I feel like it needs to be more proactive, like an actual system that's put in so that we don't even have to necessarily go back and forth with police and try to figure things out. I just feel like it's going to be the same thing. Like, this is going to be the same thing. It's a deeper issue than what is being seen.
Yeah. I just want to point out, Lizzie says, what we do know is that the shooter's a black male, DC government employee. Also want to point out that he did have a concealed carry license and the firearm was registered. But he's not law enforcement. I do also, the man was the one who called 911 and was performing CPR when the officers arrived.
What?
Yeah. So he was.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So he was actually trying to save the child. So it's hard to say. The problem is it's hard to really have a really strong opinion about this because we really don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This wasn't early on. There were some questions as to whether or not this was a white on black crime, similar to Trayvon Martin. But turns out that this is really not like Trayvon Martin at all. I mean, again, I know
why.
Well, for one, this child does appear to have been stealing cars. I mean, all the evidence points to that at this point, but again, we just don't have enough information. It's still only alleged.
Trayvon was walking home.
He was just walking home, right? And on top of that, it wasn't a racial difference here, divide. Mm-hmm. It was a black man shooting a black child, so it's a little bit different than Trayvon, but
the details,
it has a feel of Trayvon in the sense that
Absolutely.
A young child was murdered, and we don't have a lot of details.
Randomly.
What were you saying, Rob? Oh, you want to say anything?
I don't recall. I do. I think I was just on board, and it was just kind of like the conversation. Karen's like, "Okay, yeah, no, we're good, yeah."
All right. All right. Some more comments online. Liz is still on here. So Trayvon was walking to his father's house minding his business. These teens were presumably in the act of committing a crime. She also says 3 weeks ago, an elderly woman was violently carjacked by a group of teens in DC. in PG County, a 12-year-old was just arrested for killing someone in a carjacking. So there's a rash of carjackings going on.
And what that does is that creates a climate in the community. It creates a climate, and so for someone to go out maybe seeking some vigilante justice because it's something that's getting out of control. I can understand how that I can understand how someone might slip into that mindset. And I guess for me, again, it just raises the issue of the proliferation of weapons in the United States. Because again, another young black man has lost his life before it even started, man, like at 13.
Yeah.
He hadn't started, man. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the question was he really protecting himself? We don't even know that. And again, so he did say, the DC police chief said that for shootings to be justified, a person has to be in fear of their lives or the lives of others. And Olivia online says, I would only ever shoot if my life or a life is an immediate threat. And that's why I don't need a gun. I think everything is a threat. So she'd probably be shooting everybody, apparently.
See, and that's what I keep saying about American culture. It's people who are scared of and are arming themselves to feel secure. So I'm glad that Olivia has enough sense to recognize that she does feel threatened by society, and having a gun wouldn't be a good idea, because in most cases, it is not a good idea for people to carry a concealed weapon, a firearm. It's not.
Yeah. It's a weapon at the end of the day. It's true.
It's meant to kill.
A deadly one.
When you're saying that, hey, I might pull the trigger and shoot him in the leg, or I might shoot him in the butt, you're a crack shot, man. And if you hit the femoral artery, then forget it. They're bleeding out. They're done. So I don't know.
I still don't understand why this 13-year-old was allowed to be. I mean, we're not talking. It's similar to what Jacqueline Robinson was saying. We're not talking about the fact that a 13-year-old was out at 4 a.m.
Out at that time.
Yeah, we're the parents here.
I mean,
and that's it.
I say this.
If this kid wasn't out messing around with cars at 4 a.m., he would still be alive.
No question.
Maybe something is happening in his own, young personal life to where he felt he had to be doing something criminal with friends. A lot of these kids come from situations that we probably won't understand. Not to take away from your experiences as, growing up, because but I just feel like for a lot of the kids, just speaking from my own personal experience with the kids in this neighborhood, it's very ghetto, like I told you guys. And it's like these kids are super, it's just a different mindset, a different breed almost. It's like the way they think and process things.
You make a good point. Rob and I, in pre-show, Rob, because I'm from DC, Rob was asking me because it was on Quincy Street in DC, what the area was like. And I was letting him know. I was like, well, it's an area that was predominantly black and poor for many years. But it started being gentrified because the subway stations came through and were recently built there. And so there is a huge divide, even just from block to block of, demographics of wealth and poverty. So you may have a group of, places that were previously considered ghetto, quote unquote ghetto, right next to places that were condos that are like, charging $5,000 for a studio, right. You're looking at a huge gentrification issue. And so, it could be a social economic issue where you have these kids just trying to survive, doing these, by joining these car rings and things like that, just trying to get by in a city that is extremely expensive to live in right now. So,
yes.
Good point, Johnny. All right. So there's a bunch of more comments online. Let me get to a couple more comments. And then I'll ask the question. Let's see. Lizzie says Daddy was online posting receipts of how much money he spent on the kid's funeral suit, $1,800. Kevin Thaxton, but a number of the kids are followers. I came from those same neighborhoods. Petworth has always been sketchy. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Criminals have to work hard office workers rarely do. Lizzie says it's a black middle-class neighborhood. All right. So is this truth, lies, shenanigans?
Unfortunate truth.
It's a sad truth, man.
I'm calling it shenanigans. There's some shenanigans going on with this
Ooh.
DC employee person, and they're keeping it all a secret for some reason. I want to know who it is. I think something's going on with that. I mean, sure, there's some truth in the fact that, you know, he may have been stealing cars, but there's something going on with that. I just want to know who it is. So I'm calling shenanigans. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's get on to our next hot topic.
Lies, shenanigans.
All right. Representative George Santos. What a scumbag. So he was recently elected to the House of Representatives for New York, but voters soon found out he lied about his entire life, his entire biography. For one, he claimed he owned a $1 million apartment in Brazil and his family owned 13 real estate properties. Well, nope. He's living with his sister who was about to be evicted. He said he graduated summa cum laude from Baruch College, scoring a 710 on his GMAT and his master's from New York University. Nope.
Wow.
Dude never even looked at a college application. He said he worked for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Nope. He maybe got a couple of emails from him a couple times, but he even claimed, he went as far as to claim his Jewish grandparents fled Europe to avoid the Holocaust. Nope. Come to find out he's not even Jewish. Instead, he says he identifies as Jewish.
What?
The list of lies goes on and on. There's a ton, right? So the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, is supporting this guy, mostly because he has a small majority in the House, 4 people. He needs every single vote he can get. But in response to Santos lying about his resume, he said, quote, "So did a lot of people here in the Senate." So my question, is it okay to lie to get elected? And should people caught in lies be removed? Johnny, what are your thoughts?
No, it's not okay to lie to be elected, although I know a lot of people do. And no, it's not okay. And yes, you should be removed. But here's the kicker. I think that if you are somebody who is making real impactful change, people like you, you're doing the right things, and you have lied to get to that spot, maybe because you want to help the people so bad, and so you're like, this is the only way. I'm biased because I'm not mad at that, because I feel like although your credentials were not true, if the impact you're doing, the work you're doing now is actually helping people and doing something right, then I think that you should stay. But essentially, to lie to people to be able to get what you want seems honestly probably more common than we choose to believe. But I don't think that it's right.
Fair. Johnny, it's, padding your resume is one thing. I mean, everybody pads their resume. But this guy lied. He misrepresented his education, his work history, his family, his financials, everything. So if I can't trust you with the small stuff, how can I trust you with the big stuff? This is an axiom we throw around work quite a bit, and this really applies, because if you lied to get to where you are, you cheated, you stole, how can I trust you to effectively do that job? So I have a really hard time buying into this Robin Hood kind of myth that you've got going on. Well, despite the means, he's still doing something good. No. But I mean, in the real work world, if you lie on your resume, if you lie about your qualifications, you can be dismissed with cause. Yeah. And there's a strong likelihood that by the end of the day, you will be escorted out the front door along with your shameful banker's box that you get to keep. Here, you get to keep this, but nothing else, because you lied. You don't have the qualifications.
On top of that, Robbie, to your point, on top of that, you would not receive any type of security clearance in any way, shape, or form. I mean, and this guy has the potential, depending on what McCarthy decides to do in terms of putting him on committees, has the potential to be on committees where classified information is given.
Right.
And this is clearly a con man, right? He's been conning people for years. And he had a Ponzi scheme going on that the SEC was investigating him for. So
No, he claimed that it was 100% legitimate when they investigated it in 2020.
So,
Oops,
horrible.
I guess it was a Ponzi.
I mean, I'm really concerned. Like you said, if it was your resume or anything like that, you'd be fired, no question. If it was a federal employee, any other federal employee or civil servant, you'd be fired, no question, right? So why are we able to treat representatives? I get he was elected, but when we're talking about the type of lies that this guy has told, McCarthy won't even send it to the ethics committee at this point.
That's at the very least, it's a breach of ethics, and it's
absolutely.
The previous administration really brought out that there needs to be a huge ethics sweeps done throughout your entire political system, that people need to be held to a higher account, because it's become so undeniably and overtly corrupt. I mean, this is a perfect example. I fronted you a damn near completely fabricated resume, and politicians they're populists. If I don't know anything about you, I'm going to read what's on paper. I'm going to listen to the message that comes from you and your party. But then if I come to find that it's completely falsified, then who did I put in office? I should have the right to say, well, no, I don't want this fool representing me, because I don't know who he is. Nobody knows who he really is.
Sorry, Kevin, that's good. Go again.
No, I was saying, how did he even get the clearance? Like, they don't call, like, they don't call the employer.
You need references, check the references. I mean, it's there's something wrong with the political system there. There's something wrong with it. There's definitely something wrong. There should be a way that we don't allow certain types of people into office. There should just be a guide to certain types of people cannot get in office. If you've lied about your resume, if you've done this, if you stolen taxes, if you've stolen money, if you're an ex-con, there should be some reasonable expectation that, because people voting for people don't know these things. I mean, it is up for the news media to investigate and all that good stuff. But if I'm a voter, I don't know who's honest or who's truthful. I may have voted for the con man and not realize it. So you can't blame the voters. So who solves that problem? There has to be a solution to this. So Kevin Thaxton had me laughing because he said, Nix, that's what I'm worried about. Getting classified documents. He says, but folks have classified documents to read on the toilet these days. Referring to, obviously, the last two presidents who have taken classified documents home.
And he doubled down it with, if you marry Soviet spies.
Oh wow! Wow, Trump. Okay.
Kevin.
So Sonia C. Elliott says it's not okay, but the majority in those positions do lie. And she's not wrong, right?
Big time.
So what do we do? I mean, what do we do, Gianni? How do we fix this problem? Come on, you got something for me. I know you do.
All right. This is what I think. I think that we need to do a sweep of office of everybody in our entire government system. We need to just, I don't want to say everybody should fall, but I feel like the majority, because the system is already corrupt. So we need to sweep, and then we need to start implementing new people that actually care about their neighbors and their humanity around them, because that's the only way you're going to get real results. We keep thinking that these people care about us, and they don't.
Yeah, you're right. The system does foster corruption. The way it's designed, does foster. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So Jacqueline Robinson online said he didn't just embellish his resume. He literally fabricated an entire life he didn't have. He's a career criminal and a con man. The only person he's helping is himself. The residents of New York didn't vote for George Santos. As New York Times readers noted, he's a fictional character and a collection of molecules walking the halls. Oh, that's funny. Oh, and his mother died twice. Oh, that's right. That's right. That was one of the other lies. Apparently, his mother died on 9/11 and then later died from, quote unquote, from being at 9/11. So from cancer later.
What? He tried to make his life so interesting. Like, his life could be a movie, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's pretty crazy.
Jewish grandparents, 9/11, everything, just throwing everything in there.
She also said this is epic malpractice by Democrats in New York. There were almost 90 pages of opposition research on this guy, and they did nothing with it until it was way too late. That's a really good point, actually. We didn't actually discuss because, I mean, I said it was up to the news media, but it is actually up to the opponent to get that information out there, to investigate and make sure they have the right information, and to, when you go into debate, say, hey, what did you do? Were you really at Goldman Sachs?
That's true.
So yeah, this is actually a failure of the Democrats as well. That's a really good point.
I wonder how Republicans feel about this guy. I haven't heard any.
Oh yeah, no. So the Republican, obviously in the House, McCarthy wants to keep as many votes as possible because what'll happen is if they dismiss George Santos, then it goes to basically a re-election. They basically do the election again, and because this guy was pretty lied
popular,
and actually the Republican Party in New York has called him out and asked him to resign, it's likely that if there's another election that the Democrat would probably win, just because you've already been duped once by the Republican Party. And this was traditionally a Democratic area as well. Matter of fact, Biden won the county in when he was running for president by a lot, apparently. So
maybe the Democrats did that so that it could be like a public thing, so that we could scrutinize this guy, and then he doesn't run that area anymore. Like the Republicans, like maybe they waited for it to come out and be a bigger thing than it was to. I don't know. It's theory.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Is this truth? Lies. Well, this is an obvious one.
This is a whole lot of lies.
Whole lot of lies.
Lies and shenanigans going on. This dude, lies and shenanigans.
Liar.
But he is definitely, liar. I mean, this got to be one of the worst liars in Congress ever. I mean, he's got to.
He's earned my special sign. He's earned my special.
He's full of it.
He sure is.
He had to have set some kind of record or something for number of lies told. I mean, I know Trump told a bunch of lies, but still, I mean, this is like,
right. It's that old.
Lie.
How can you tell when he's lying? His lips are moving.
right, literally. All right, let's get into our final topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Robbie, we're talking about some teleworking issues again. What's up?
We're talking time theft. So an accountant in British Columbia has been ordered to pay her former employee more than $2,600 for time theft. So she had initially put in a claim saying that for $5,000 to cover unpaid wages and severance, arguing that she'd been fired without cause. But the employer later went back to their tracking software and were able to demonstrate a discrepancy of almost 50 hours between what she had reported and the work that was actually done. So my question is, should employers be monitoring telework employees this carefully to ensure that time theft is not taking place? Because it's a double-edged sword. So I'm curious what your thoughts are.
All right. I'll start things off. So if your question is, should they be monitoring it? There's no question they should be monitoring it. There's no question, because that just comes down to good management. When you think about we talked about last week teleworking, and I pretty much said that, teleworking, people do try to get over on teleworking, but you got to keep in mind though, when you're at work, right? how many people do you see taking 15-minute smoke breaks all the time, hanging out at the cooler, taking an extra hour for lunch, hanging out at their desks on Facebook and doing fantasy football? And I'm saying
coming in at the crack of 8:37. Nope, you missed it. You missed it.
Right. I get it that, hey, teleworkers, we need to track their time. We need to make sure they're doing the right things, blah, 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 blah. Sure. But the reality is that whether they're home or away, it really doesn't matter. They're going to try to get over. So it really comes down to good management. So poor managers will let their employees skate regardless of where their desk is situated. Doesn't matter. But good managers can effectively manage their resources no matter where they are. It can be China, India. It doesn't matter. If you're a good manager, you follow up effectively. Workers need to know they gotta get their shit done, or they don't get paid. Then that's it. That's my thoughts.
I feel.
Good.
No, I was gonna say I feel like that's true, Neo. But I feel like sometimes with the managing, I remember working a work from home job, and I felt like the managing is what made me start a business, and now I have a business because it's like I don't have a problem with monitoring. Like we said, that's you're supposed to do that. That's natural for you to be successful. But I feel like sometimes the micromanaging can be in
I agree.
like where it can just kill the environment. Like it makes you not want to work there. It can kill the whole community of the workplace. But I also feel that maybe there's like some automatic system, and then if you go over that time, maybe you can communicate to like a team lead or a manager that, hey, this is my overtime hours, or I don't know. But I feel like there's different ways that you can monitor. A good like business person, a good manager is creative at the end of the day, and has to just be effective.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of micromanaging. I don't like micromanagement, even if I'm at work or not at work, it doesn't matter. There's been lots of times where I'm teleworking, right? And let's say I have a doctor's appointment during the course of the day. Sometime during the day, I have a doctor's appointment from 12 to 4, and I have something due the next day. I may not work 9 to 5, but I might work from 8 to 12, and then I'm working on the project from 6 to probably into 12 midnight sometimes, just trying to make sure, because it really should be about the job, the individual job. So again, a good manager would be like, hey, look, this is what you need to do. This is what I need done, and I need it done by this deadline. Get it done by this deadline. Use the hours allotted to you to get it done. This is how many hours I expect it to take. If it takes more, let me know. If it takes less, let me know. But here, this is what I expect. And then when that deadline hits, if it's done, then you've accomplished your job. It really doesn't even matter how many hours you worked.
Right. And we all agreed to terms of employment. When we started our jobs, there are terms of employment. If I'm supposed to work 37.5, 42.5 hours a week, that is the number that I'm supposed to be working. And, like you were saying, if people are working on site, go for an extra smoke break, you take a walk around the building. Just
I've seen people going literally every half hour.
Every hour.
Oh yeah, and there are chronics, and those people need to be called out too, for sure, because it's like
that's true.
I'm like, really again?
Because I choose a healthy lifestyle, I get to work an hour more every day while these people go out and maybe they got something. Maybe they're onto something. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. I'm gonna have to figure. I'm just like, let me just get a fake cigarette and start. Oh, I gotta smoke. Gotta get the deep voice too. You gotta get the smoker's voice.
It's part of my cessation plan. I gotta smoke these straws every hour.
Don't forget the black lips. You gotta paint your lips black too. Get him some dark lips.
Don't pick up a bad habit. Don't pick up a bad
But that's
habit.
it. There are good tracking and monitoring tools out there, and you don't have to micromanage, because at the end of the day, if you're getting the necessary productivity out of an employee, then it really shouldn't be a case for discussion. If they are meeting or exceeding the needs, then great. Where I see it
Right.
really becoming a key factor is if you have people who are underperforming while they're teleworking, because then at that point it's like, well, do you really have something going on at home? Is it that chaotic? Do you have that many disruptions? Should you be going back to the old model and coming back into the office? It should almost be like a performance-based thing. But in this situation, I kind of find it interesting that the employer or the former employer was able to hit back and go, no, like you're coming to us for damages. All right, here are the numbers. Here's a quantifiable. Here's 50. 50. It's a very, very
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny that the employee sued the employer, and then the employee was the one who had to pay. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys owe me some money. No, we don't. And yeah, all right. Here you go. And she had to pay for the court fees, of course. She had to pay for the court fees.
All
It's
right.
interesting too, Rob, that you said you mentioned the like low performing work from home people or teleworking people. I've noticed on TikTok they keep having this like toxic culture of where they're like making work from home like worthwhile in a way. So they'll have like 2-3 work from home jobs and be working them at the same time, which I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. That's cool, whatever. But it's like you're not really, you might be having somebody on the phone
You're
and
not
just put them
focused.
on hold. Right. Or they'll go in
Yeah.
at the last minute, like 5 minutes before their thing starts. Like I said, I'm not knocking anybody's hustle, but it's like you're not working.
Yeah, I had to recently let an assistant go for that same
the
reason.
terms of employment at that point, and that's an earlier comment that I made. There are terms of employment. So if you're working 2 jobs, then you better be working 70 hours a week at home, because if you're just putting in your 40-hour week with 2 full-time jobs, then
Too full.
then you're abusing the system. So yeah, if you
Yeah,
can
they are.
telework 2 full-time jobs, hey, go for it, because you're working from home. You're not commuting. You're not killing yourself with a commute every day to get
Right.
to these 2 jobs. So
I think it's
if
about
that's your
productivity,
hustle,
though. I mean, because like
It
I
is.
hired for Pods Network, I've hired a couple of assistants, and when I give assignments and give things that I need done, some people meet the deadlines, or they don't, and so if we're not hitting the deadlines, then you're not, what I need, And so I actually recently had to let one go because I was like, hey, we're not meeting the deadlines. And so, like you say, it's just about setting the expectations, setting the standards, and saying, hey, this is what I need by this time. Can you do it? And that particular assistant that I'm talking about, had multiple gigs, as they call them, right? So multiple people that they were assisting. So they were trying to do multiple things at once and then would fall behind and then wouldn't get things done. That's not what I need. So they can go focus somewhere else, but that is fine, as long as I recognize that and then, move on from that. So
performance manage it.
Change.
Yep.
Right.
All right. There's some comments online here.
Shenanigans.
So Jackson Robinson, it would be grossly irresponsible if employers didn't monitor employees who are teleworking. There are instances last year where the DOH, Department of Housing employees, took their work laptops with them to Disney and other vacation destinations without the government's knowledge or consent. Kevin Daxon said, it's just plain dishonest. We can't continue to support dishonesty. And he also said, robots don't mismanage time.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Don't. That's horrible. We're going to be taken over by robots.
So, all right. Is this truth, lies, shenanigans?
Oh, a whole
I'm
bunch
declaring
of
shenanigans. Shenanigans.
Shenan again.
Shenanigans for sure. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was really funny that she goes to sue them, and she in turn is the one who has to pay.
They flip the script on her, man.
Remind me of Judge Judy. Happens on Judge Judy all the time.
That's why we can't have nice things. That's why we can't have nice things.
That's true. That's very true. All right.
Try to finesse.
All right. Let's have some fun. Time for our game show.
I love that intro. Yeah.
Today's game is Would You Rather? All right, so we all get to play today. Real simple. The app will give us two options. We have to decide which we'd rather do. If our answer matches how the majority of people answered, you get a point. Person with the most points gets the final thought for the show. So everybody remember how to play?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, let's go. All right, first up. Would you rather eat rice with every meal and never be able to eat bread, or eat bread with every meal and never be able to eat rice?
That's so.
Basically, which do you prefer, rice or bread, right? So
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going with bread.
No, rice. I like
prefer-
rice and beans.
I prefer rice, but I feel that there's a greater variety of bread out there. So for my palate, I'm going to go with bread because
Yeah.
that'll make meals more enjoyable for the duration of my life.
I'd rather eat bread with every meal and never be able to eat rice. What about you, Gianni? What did you say?
I'm gonna do rice.
You're going to go with
Puerto
rice.
Rican.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, Gianni, rice. Where are they taking this poll from? This must be like this must be in
this
China or
must be
something.
An ethnic.
Neo, even if it's international,
Yes.
please. The North American numbers are dwarfed. They're nothing.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
hilarious.
All right, Gianni. Good job.
Such
All
a
right,
hybrid.
Gianni. I mean, all of us actually. Would you rather be a character in the movie Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz? So it's easy. I'm all about Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Gone
never
with the
seen
Wind.
Gone with the Wind, so I'm going to
Yeah,
have to
me
go with
either.
Wizard of Oz for context.
Well, see, I'm
I know what I'm getting with the Oz.
I'm a little bit darker.
Right.
So, you know, when Gone with the Wind was made, you know, we didn't fare too well in movies like that.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going with the
I think-
Wizard of Oz. Let's see.
The Oz.
What? Gone with the Wind. So we're all wrong.
Wow, unexpected.
Yeah, that is unexpected.
Unexpected.
I feel like these.
Oh, by the way,
numbers are
Lizzie's online playing. We need to count Lizzie in. She
Oh,
said she's all about the rice, red beans and rice and sushi.
Even Kevin Thax said rice is life.
She
That
also
makes you
said
fat.
Oz.
Scott Pilgrim. Dropping some Scott Pilgrim references.
All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see. All right, Johnny's in our lead. So, all right, would you rather take amazing selfies, but all of your other pictures are horrible, or take breathtaking photographs of anything but yourself?
Oh,
That's so funny.
I'd rather take breathtaking photos of anything but myself.
I'm with Neo. But I think that we live in such a narcissistic society that it's absolutely going to
I
be.
think it's going to
amazing
be the
selfies.
other way around.
But
yeah.
I would prefer taking breathtaking photographs. Yeah.
I'll be honest, even though I know what the answer probably is.
Mhm.
What are you saying,
I'm
Gianni?
gonna say selfies only because like I'm not a photographer, so I don't.
And you want the
care.
win.
Yeah, let's see. You're about to get it too. Yep, 58%, Gianni. All right, good job. Gianni got 2 points. Uh-oh, I don't know if we can catch up. We got 2 more to go. So
Oh,
Let's
man, I'm
see.
getting
That's too
skunked.
funny.
Baxton said anything but me.
Right?
Yeah. All right.
Flawless selfies.
All right, let me see. Just trying to pull this up. Jacqueline Rob said
Every
definitely the
time.
latter. All right, let's
Oh,
see.
I was-
Next one.
I was smiling. I should have been doing something pouty with my lips.
Yeah, right. Pouty. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a nice selfie. There you go.
Duck
Pouty.
lips.
Lizzie says no selfies. No selfies.
But
All right. Would you rather never be able to leave your own country or never be able to fly in an airplane?
Mm.
confused. Never be able to fly in an airplane.
Well,
Are
isn't
they
that the
not
same thing
saying the same
almost?
thing? Yeah. I'm like, that's not.
No.
Almost.
Never-
No,
I guess you
because,
have to take a
you
boat.
could- yeah, you could take a boat.
Okay.
Oh, okay, duh.
Okay. You know
Um,
what? I'm going to say never be able to fly in an airplane.
Yeah, because I gotta leave this country.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
the plane.
Never be able to
Airplane.
fly.
Yeah. All right. So we're all saying airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, it's never to be able to leave your own
Dang.
country. We're all wrong.
Wow.
I'm actually, well, I'm not
Dang.
totally surprised, but I get it. I get why
But I
somebody.
mean,
I
I'm
get
not-
it.
You know, I could travel by boat as an option, but I wouldn't. I've cruises and transatlantic voyages in big boats. No,
she
not for
called.
me.
She called me about when I asked how. Lizzie's online says boat.
Titanic.
He said boat Bama when I asked about like how would you get off the Isn't it the same thing? Okay, Liz, get it. Thank you. I figured it out.
I love when she says Bama.
Yeah, that's an old DC thing. I make fun of everybody who says it. I still have friends that say it now.
Nice.
All right. Would you rather give up watching TV or movies for a year or give up playing games for a year?
Oh, TV and movies. Goodbye.
Yeah, probably
For a year?
Do I like movies anymore?
For a year?
Yeah, I would give it up.
I'd give up games for a year.
Give up my vids for a year or give up TV and movies for a year. Easy call.
The only reason is because me and my wife enjoy watching TV and movies together. So
together. Yeah.
that's the only reason I would give up games to be able to do that.
All right, let's watch some YouTube videos, original content.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie.
Documentary.
What did you say, Gianni? Just so I make sure I get it right.
I'm giving up the TV.
You
I don't watch it anyway.
You want the games? Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see. The answer is TV and movies. I get a point, but Gianni wins the game.
Hey. Wow. It's my first time winning in years.
Oh, it has been a little while. Actually, it's been a little while.
It's your first time this year.
This year. All
right.
Let's get in some shout outs. All right, Robbie.
Well, I would like to just say support the arts. So shout out to all of the creators and artists out there. Thank you for the music, images, the videos, the stories, the taste sensations. Our lives are a little bit better each day because of the artists.
Love it. Gianni?
I want to shout out my family. I've been getting really close to my family and just talking a lot more to them. And shout out to my friends. Just a homely, heartfelt shout out to you guys.
All right. I'm going to give a shout out to Martin Luther King Jr. Proud to celebrate his birthday with the 18th. Every year or so, there's just one human on this planet that changes the world. I think had it not been for MLK, his fortitude, his courage to affect change during that difficult time, I'm not sure I personally would have had all the amazing opportunities I've had today. And I'm certain we wouldn't have had this podcast where I can openly share my thoughts and opinions the way I do.
Yeah.
And to think just because my skin produces a little more melanin, you know, I don't think some people realize that that's actually a good thing that you produce a little more melanin. Anyway, racism is a plague. I'm thankful for MLK's sacrifice to make things better for me and my family. So, all right. And that is officially all of the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, or simply had some laughs with us. We will be back live next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or you can listen to the episodes of the podcast on Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. And you can always check out our recorded live episodes. Subscribe to us on YouTube at TLSShow.com, TLSSHOW.com. And our rare winner for the final thought of the day, Gianni Storm, close us out.
Okay, I'm going to leave you all with this. We've talked a lot about things happening in the community. Well, I talked about it. Things happening in the community and how we should be more community-based. Whatever you do, if you donate food, if you give a homeless person socks, or if you help a stray cat, call somebody to help a stray animal. We need to start thinking like that more. So I just wanted to put that in you guys' atmospheres in your world, just to be conscious of that in your everyday.
I love that, Gianni. Great message. All right. Thank you, Robbie Rock, Gianni. I'm going to thank Liz Z because she was online hanging out with us. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great week, everyone.